Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you've had a good week. And so today I thought I'd do something different, and it's funny actually because this is a video I've been planning to do ever since I finished my book, basically back in August, and something I wanted to talk about regarding my system and regarding tarot decks, cards, card stock, quality, and all that stuff. So it kind of harkens back to to my previous video on the absolute state of tarot, um, where I talked extensively about tarot cards compared to playing cards and how the quality standard isn't the same. And all that stuff. And at the same time, it's basically an ongoing quest. It's been an ongoing quest for me to find the perfect tarot deck for my system, right? For the poker tarot, hand of fate, divination system. Before I proceed, I did want to mention that I also started a Substack recently. So you will find it here on Hand of Fate Tarot .substack.com. I will add the link to the description. My first article is basically a transcription or like a written article based on my previous video on how to combine two playing card decks into one tarot deck, right? How to do that and what the correspondences are. So this article is free, and there will be more free articles. I'm not sure exactly how I will expand this. Obviously, I'm still working towards my next book. Although at the same time, given the new information that I have, based on, for example, this one, the book I'm reading now, Last Call by Tim Powers, I need to put that into the appendix of my Hand of Fate book. And I also need to at least mention the fact that you can create your own tarot deck using playing cards. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna make a second edition and expand it with new chapters and stuff like that, or new appendices, or whether I'm going to write a new book with, about playing cards tarot in general, right? That might be. I haven't decided yet because it's kind of a big it's a game changer, right? It's something I hadn't calculated previously. So at any rate, here's my Substack. So I will be adding, as I'm making videos or writing articles, because I usually have stuff I want to talk about. Sometimes I post it on Reddit or on YouTube. But I'm already thinking about like a series on like like analyzing the correspondences between the reversible pips and the major arcana and stuff like that. But so today, what I wanted to do actually is create a tier list of the best tarot playing card hybrid decks. At least the ones that I know of, and I don't have all of these in my possession, but I think I can make a pretty good assessment of how good they are. And those that I do have, I have piled up here, and I will be able to do a little demonstration per deck to show you what's what. So let's get to it. So just to how do you say, set some expectations, right? What we're going to be what we're going to be reviewing here, basically, using this tier list, is the card, basically how well the tarot and the playing cards are integrated into one deck, into one package. And secondly, the quality, like how well do they shuffle, how well do they read, and how practical they are to take with you and to use for readings, etc. So let's get back to the screen. I'll be changing screens pretty frequently on this video, just so I'll be able to use the top-down cam as well to show you what's what. So first off, let me remove these out of the way so I can shuffle some cards, actually. Just that, you know, I just had them here so I can show them on the shot. So first off, we're starting with the Tarot de Marseille. And I personally have added the Jodorowsky Camoufle, which is one that I've had for many years and has been with me for a long time. And is probably my most worn down tarot deck in my collection. Maybe after or maybe on par with my Thought Tarot, which is not on this list. But so I thought I'd add the Tarot de Marseille in some capacity, simply because it's the most playing cards, like card game oriented tarot deck, traditional tarot deck, right? So it's probably the easiest one to get. It has, you know, it has pips. It doesn't have illustrated pips, right? Like the Rider-Waite does. So on that front, it might be practical enough to use for like a poker tarot reading or like a blackjack tarot reading. However, it's still Tarot de Marseille. It's still pretty big. And obviously, you know, let me show you the top-down camera. And obviously the pips are not optimized, right? So that might be an issue. And personally, I don't. You know, the cards are pretty big. They're not playing card sized, so that makes it hard to use in a compact setting, like for a poker spread and stuff like that, because you do need quite a few cards, right? You do need to pull 7 cards to get a result, to get your thing. I don't know if I'm gonna do a whole poker spread, by the way, today, but because I don't have the space on my desk. But yeah, as you can see, it does shuffle pretty well. The cardstock is pretty decent. Actually, it did survive quite a few mishaps, because I did spill some drinks, and you'll see that some edges are, you know, it got stuck, and it did survive that the taking them apart and drying process, you know. So you know, there's some wear and tear here that you know, that maybe other decks wouldn't have survived, you know. But it's a reliable deck, but I think it's more suitable for normal readings. And obviously it has a lot of information, so I wouldn't suggest playing poker with this. So I'm going to put this for the context of this review. I'm going to put it on B for now. Actually, no, I'm going to put it on C. Camoufle starts with a C, so that's where I'm gonna put it. And honestly, there's a couple more Marseille decks that I'm thinking of putting there. So next up, we have the Keymaster Tarot, and the Keymaster Tarot is actually the deck that got me into this rabbit hole in the first place, and that's why, you know, that's why I got it. And the Keymaster Tarot is interesting because it combines Marseille patterns with playing card patterns. So yeah, you'll be able to see it here. You know, so the Marseille patterns are like in gold foil in the background. So you will see those circles around the diamonds, which signify the coins. But they're, honestly, I'm not sure if I really like this pattern, because it reminds me a lot of the swords. But again, so you'll see the swords here, you know, the usual Marseille pattern, but then in the background or in the foreground, you'll see the spades, right, from a playing card deck. But then at the same time, for example, you have the King of Hearts is named the King of Cups. So he uses the names for the tarot pips, for the tarot suits, but then the symbols of the playing card suits, and it becomes a bit of a ham-fisted sort of affair. Although honestly, so the Ace of Wands, for example, all the aces have like a hand pattern, and then this the suit on top. And then the majors are a bit different. They have these golden edges around or these golden frames, I should say, and are fairly traditional, but at the same time they have this highly science fiction sort of undertone to them, which is very appealing. I do like it, and honestly, so this deck is very nice. It's incredibly like well made. The cardstock quality is absolutely amazing. It shuffles like a dream. So if you listen to this, it's fantastic. It's just really good. And so this was made by Team 17, if I'm not mistaken, is the name of the company. But it was published by A.G. Müller, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember. I don't have the box with me. And it's very, very close to a tarot playing card deck. Now, the problem that it does have, as you will notice here, for example, is that all the pips are reversible. They're all pointing in one direction, so if I put it upside down, it will be upside down. It will be reversed, right? So it's very much a traditional tarot deck in that regard. Nothing wrong with that per se. You can still very much use this for a poker tarot system. The card size notwithstanding, it's pretty big deck, but if you have a big table, it should do just fine. So I'm going to put this on A. It's a very good deck. And as far as tarot playing card decks go, I think it's one of the best. Now, if we go further down, we have... Oh, wait, I didn't even show where I put it. So here's it's on A. Next up, we have the standard playing card tarot. Now, I don't own this one. So I can't say for sure. I can show some pictures maybe. Because it's definitely an interesting deck. Let me find the Kickstarter. Playing cards tarot. There you go. So yeah, as you can see, this is basically a bicycle deck with a major arcana that is very reminiscent of the chords in bicycle decks. But you got things like the Cavaliers. So he changed the knights into Cavaliers so that there's no, because the knights start with the same letter as the king, with K. So he made it a C, which is a very good touch. And they instead of horses, he added helmets to them, which I think is a very good solution. So as you can see, this is just about the perfect deck. I think he added the helmets to the knights because he already added the horses to the chariot, which I think is a very, very smart choice. Because there's another deck that hasn't done that. That we will get into and that I do have in my possession. And so, all the majors are reversible, are actually non-reversible. Which, make of that what you will. Honestly, it doesn't, if you have the majors on separate cards, you don't need them to be reversible, in my opinion and in my system. But as you can see, they're actually really nice. And these cards are casino quality. They're bicycle cards, basically. I think he had them printed with USPCC as well. And the normal chords are just the bicycle chords. Like, I can show you these. They're just these guys. If I find one. Here, like this. So the pips and the chords, they're just default bicycle playing cards. So all in all, the only problem I have with this deck is that it's based on the Rider-Waite tradition. So it uses the numbering of the Rider-Waite. So Justice is 11, Strength is 8, and so on. But other than that, I wish this deck was still available. It's not. It's out of print at the moment. But nonetheless, all that taken into account, I think I would put this on A as well. Simply because I know the quality that's gone in there. I've seen some reviews. I know the designs are pretty. There's more interesting stuff as well, because like if you look at the aces, what he's done with them. Oh yeah, you have the jokers. Those are fortune tellers, which is pretty funny. And then these aces, man, these are just fantastic. Like absolutely gorgeous. They look like Native American art, or like they just very, I don't know, they just very psychedelic or something. They're very pretty. So yeah, I really wish I could get this deck, and if it's if it ever comes available, I will definitely be buying it. So that was the playing card tarot. Next, we'll move on to the Genoese tarot. Actually, you know what? I'm going to skip a few and move on to another deck that I also have in my possession. That's very reminiscent of the standard playing card tarot deck, and that's the Arcana Tarot playing card deck by what's his name? I keep forgetting. Christophe. What was his name again? Well, by Dead on Paper, at least. That's the company. I don't remember. So these cards are pretty nice as well. They're just, it's a playing card deck with a major arcana, just like the previous one. It's a little bit more, he took some more liberties with the chords and with the images that he made. That's all custom made for this deck. He also has a Arcana playing card deck, so without the major arcana as well, by the way. The pips are reversible, so that's great. I just kind of find the extra pips with the cups and the swords and the pentacles just unnecessary. He didn't have to put those in there. And what he also did, he put the knights in place of the jacks, and then added separate cards for the pages. So he did the opposite that the standard playing card guy did, and made the knights jacks. The deck also comes with some extra cards. We have a couple of jokers that are marionettes, and we have a reversible card here, black and white. We have a just white reversible card, and we have a reversible death card with separate designs, which I actually would have found more interesting if he put this design. Well, it's the same artwork, just zoomed in. Maybe he could have added an extra card for an alternate death card. And then we have a reversible skull here. So yeah, I don't know. So this deck, you can tell that this deck has been made with a different audience, right? I don't think it's very much intended for cartomancy, and more for magic tricks and stuff like that, and cardistry. The cards are pretty stiff, so they don't shuffle extremely well, but they are linen finish, and so they're very nice. They do work well with my poker tarot system, I have to say. Even though, personally, I'm not crazy about these. I'm not crazy about the artwork. I know it's done by hand, and I know a lot of work went into this. But there are just some images that don't. So, for example, this face here, and or this guy. Like the chords just look like Game of Thrones characters, like generic medieval dark fantasy characters. And some of the faces and the characters are just kind of undefined, I guess you could say. Like there's some weird elements here, like the anatomy isn't always as pristine or as good as it could have been, especially seeing how much skill the artist does have, right? So like this face here, or like this one is actually really nice, as is this one. But there's a few of these where you kind of feel like those faces aren't quite right. And not just the faces, right? There's other features too. This is actually a very nice star card, though, I have to say. I'm looking for one in particular. There's the Queen of Cups, I think, or maybe of Clubs. No, the Queen of Clubs is actually rather pretty. But, obviously I'm an artist, so I kind of look at that stuff myself, and I'm not saying I can do it better, but I still see it, Here, this is also an interesting one, right? So you have this kiss here, the lovers, blah, blah, very nice. I mean, it's not a very traditional tarot card, it's just a pair of lovers. But then you have this neck, how it sticks out of her body, and it just kind of looks a bit out of place there. And that kind of ruins the card for me, And consequently kind of ruins the deck for me as well. The Empress is very pretty as well, I have to say. Now, where is she? Here. Okay, so it's the Queen of Pentacles even. So here you'll notice like this leg, she's like sitting bow-legged. I don't know. She has this leg like twisted in this weird way. But then the perspective isn't very great as well. So it just kind of looks wrong, And I just kind of feel like you could have done this over. You could have made a new drawing for this card. But yeah, whatever. So that's the Arcana Tarot playing cards. So I'll put this one on B. And then we'll get to the Genoese Tarot. Let me just put these back again. And so the Genoese Tarot, I think, it's definitely one of my favorite decks on this list. As far as commercial playing card tarot decks are concerned. It's definitely like artistically the most consistent. Although, no, I shouldn't say that. The Keymaster Tarot is very consistent artistically. This one actually has more inconsistencies. But you can tell this one is made with playing cards in mind, not so much with fortune telling and tarot in mind. And whereas this one is clearly made for like magic tricks and cardistry, this one is more made for playing cards, for especially like regional card games, Italian card games and stuff like that. So it's both very traditional and very different. So it takes elements from the Tarot de Marseille and the Tarot Piemontese. But at the same time, it has some modernizing elements and some... because it uses the modern playing card pips. And it has some... But it also has some traditional tarot elements in there. So obviously I've done a review on this deck. You've seen it before. It's bridge size, so that is a disadvantage in my opinion, because shuffling it, especially because it's cardboard, these are linen finish cardboard cards, shuffling them is a bit of a pain. It does work, and it actually, once you do once you get to the bridge, it's very satisfying. But it's not ideal in my opinion. I would have preferred poker size, but it is what it is. Nonetheless, the art is stunning. And the and it's it has. So, for example, right, it has the major arcana, but it also has the traditional French chords. So the Ace of Spades is King David. It doesn't say his name, but it has the design with the lyre. And oh yeah, this is the other thing that I wanted to get to. It has, the knights have the horses here. But so this is where it kind of becomes weird, because then you get to the chariot. Let's see if I can find him. See, so here's another knight. So I thought maybe this is a chariot, right? So you kind of get confused. Let's see if I can find him. Here. Right, so the chariot also has the horse design. Like one way is upside down and the other is right side up. And obviously, in order to make the distinction, she gave him a beard. But now he also looks like a king and like the emperor. And it's kind of annoying. And then you have the knight with the horses. And obviously the horse only has one color on this card. But, the other the standard tarot playing card deck, which is also poker size, by the way, I do think does it better. The solution, like adding the helmets to the knights, I think was a better solution, especially since using these traditional designs, there is no traditional, like if you use the French chords, the Paris pattern chords for your playing cards, those don't have any knights. So then you can make the knights however you want. You can take a different deck and base them on those. While here they look very much like the pages and like the chariot. And it's a little bit weird. And at the same time, and then there's the other thing. You have the titles in Ligurian. Right, because this is the Genoese tarot. So this is not... so the language used for these cards is in a minority language in Italy. Which personally, I don't mind that necessarily, but... I don't like it for my readings, right? I'm not Ligurian myself. I'm not Italian, so it doesn't really appeal to me on that front, even though the cards do appeal to me. So I wouldn't say it's ideal, because especially if you're, personally, I do have an aptitude for languages and stuff like that, so I don't mind using it. It doesn't bother me, but I can imagine that for someone else using the system, it could get confusing. So that was the Genoese tarot. And I'm going to put this on A, but I will put it below the standard tarot playing cards. So next we have the Ducale deck, which I don't own, but I do have a Ducale deck, but I have a 54 card deck, which I personally use as a Piquet deck. Which are these? I've showed these before, I've reviewed these recently. So these are nice. There's different variants, right? This is just the cheapest you can get. These are by Cartamundi. But you also have Ducale decks by Fournier and by other companies. But the real Ducale actually includes a major arcana. So it's a 78 card playing card deck. So it does include the major arcana, but it's not a major arcana, right? It includes the 21 extra cards. But they actually have depictions of daily life in the 19th century France or Austria or whatever it may be, because there's different editions. And so I wouldn't recommend it for tarot readings, but you can use it for the poker tarot system, and you can actually use it for readings. There's nothing wrong with the cards. But I will put these on B. Maybe even C, actually. I'll put these on C. And I'll put these above the Tarot de Marseille in this instance, because they do have the traditional pips. Next up, we have the Playing Marseille. And this one I can show you, and I have showed before. I haven't done a review, per se, of this deck. But I have used it on many previous videos. So the Playing Marseille is almost perfect, I would say. It has the major arcana. It has a mix of traditional pips and Marseille pips. Major arcana are Marseille based, obviously. But it has two major drawbacks. I've used this one for quite a while, especially as I was writing my book. But it has two major drawbacks. First off, the cardstock is way too thick. Way too thick. You cannot riffle shuffle these. You just can't. Like, you can't bend these. Like, it's not pleasant. It's not fun. They don't sound right. They don't feel right. You can only shuffle these this way, overhand shuffling. And it's just not. But you know, they're poker sized. You know, you can't tell me I need to overhand shuffle poker sized cards, right? Let's just grab a bicycle deck here and compare the cards. Well, they're almost poker sized. And that's another drawback. They're not even poker sized. Come on, dude. Like, this is such an oversight. I don't even know who approved this deck because this is published by US Games, right? And that's why the what the absolute state of tarot, my previous video, was all about. You know, that this kind of stuff, because this means that they can produce cheaper cards of lower quality and sell them at a premium for a tarot deck, as a tarot deck, right? A normal bicycle deck is of better quality, and you can get it for $6. This deck is, you can't shuffle this. You know, you can't shuffle this normally. You can't riffle shuffle these. And it costs 30 euros. At least I got it for 30 euros. So I assume it's around 15, maybe 20 bucks. You know, obviously the euro is stronger than the dollar, but you know, you also have to pay for import taxes and stuff like that. So if this card came out in real poker size, if this deck came out in real poker size, with linen finish or maybe even plastic, even better, you know, it would get a much higher score. But there's another problem with it, but that's a personal preference. That the pips are not traditionally aligned, right? So he made them specifically. He designed the card specifically for you to be able to reverse them all. Now, depending on who you are, that may or may not be a drawback. For me, that is a minor drawback, because it does, you know, because I have my own system with the reversals. So, yeah. So the Playing Marseille deck, unfortunately, will go to C. Even though I really like the concept and I really wish they could redo it and make a better edition. And if they do, I will definitely buy it, and then it will be A tier for sure. And then we have the playing cards, the Playing Rider-Waite deck, which I despise. I don't own it, and I'm not going to buy it ever. Obviously, as the name suggests, it's a Rider-Waite deck set up as a playing card deck. So it has the same logic as the standard playing card tarot, or similar. But then what it does is it has a separate suit for the major arcana, as it would, you know, with its own symbol and stuff like that. But it, you know, all the cards are reversible because it's just a Rider-Waite deck. But then what it does is it's included 4 jokers, and the jokers jump in for the knights. So if you're playing a card game with your playing Rider-Waite, you use the knights as jokers. But if you're using it for divination, you use the jokers as knights. So yeah, it's a bit. I mean, it's funny because I actually adopted that system in my previous video for my custom playing cards tarot deck as well, and I will get back to that. But the way they've handled it here is not very subtle. So, and then on the other hand, you have the pips, and those are, you know, you have the tarot pips. You know, you have the swords, pentacles, cups, and so it does a similar thing to what this deck did, where it has both symbols, where it has the heart and but actually no, it doesn't even do that. It only uses the tarot symbols in the corners, in the indexes. So yeah, it's very ham-fisted. Oh yeah, and the cardboard, it's not linen finish, even though they easily could have done that. So don't waste your time on this. I will put this on D. Let me show you. It's on D, right? Then we have the Tarot Piemontese. I just added it just to have it here. But basically the same goes for this one as for the Tarot de Marseille, and I will probably put it on C as well. I looked at the pictures. I don't really like it, and I suspect the cardboard is going to be pretty flimsy, just like the Ducale deck. And then we have the wait, give me a second because I dropped some things here. Here we have the Fournier decks. So these, the Tarot de Marseille and the Spanish Tarot. So yeah, I've talked about these extensively. They're basically the same thing. The Tarot de Marseille by Fournier is aesthetically more pleasing, more appealing, while the Spanish Tarot, is a bit more Spartan, I would say, but very nice nonetheless. So these decks are very good. I will put them on B because despite the fact that these are tarot decks by Fournier, the quality is such that I would still recommend them for this method, especially because you know, you get to train your brain on seeing different patterns than just the playing card patterns, right? If you're starting out with playing cards and you want to, how do you say, move over to tarot and get acquainted with those, then Fournier is actually one of the best options in my opinion. So Fournier's decks, especially these two, are just about the most traditional you can get, and at the same time you can get them for a fairly cheap price, like for $15. You have a very decent tarot deck that's not too big, but the quality standard is very good, very high. They shuffle like an absolute dream. And they're just functional. And they're practical because they're a bit smaller, so you can take them with you wherever you go. And these actually are my favorite. Like, if we're just talking about traditional tarot decks, these are the best in my opinion. But on the other hand, like, playing poker with these isn't ideal, so I will put them in B, as I said, as I already did. And then lastly, I will toot my own horn here for just a little bit. See how long have we been going? I can't tell, for some reason OBS isn't telling me anymore. Lastly, we have the Chem Tarot deck. And this obviously is not a real tarot deck, but like, if you're like me and you're looking for a plastic tarot deck, of which there are a scant few, you have this one, and you have a couple of them that are available on makeplayingcards.com, which I haven't ordered, because in order to order a single deck, you're paying like $50-$60, and then we haven't even included the shipping cost yet. You know, and they're shipped from China, so you're also going to have to pay, at least I will, here in Greece, will have to pay customs and stuff like that. So plastic tarot cards really aren't worth bothering right now. This deck is available, so if you want a Rider-Waite deck in plastic, you can get it, but I wouldn't recommend it because the cardstock is actually kind of crap. But so the best plastic cards that are available, that in existence, are the chems, right? And obviously, in an ideal world, I would love to make a cellulose acetate plastic tarot deck, right? But obviously, we don't live in that world, and I don't think that's ever going to happen. If I ever make my own tarot deck, I would love to release it in this format. But yeah, I can't say that will ever happen because Chem. I think honestly, I think Chem is on the way out. Right? They're owned by USPCC. They barely produce anything anymore, so their decks have gone up in price exponentially. And it's just a bloody shame to see a historical publisher go out like that, But we do have the cards at the moment. I do own a pack of chems, and I'm very happy with it. And once if you read my previous article or watch my previous video about how to combine 2 decks into one tarot deck, then you basically have the best shuffling and the cleanest and most practical tarot deck for tarot poker, right? And I'm going to do a spread with this one just to see if the deck agrees with me. Like, what do you think? Are you the perfect tarot deck? Right? I think that's a good question to ask. It's a yes or no question, so we can get an indication by the pips, by the colors, if we have a yes or no. Let's see what we get. Okay, we got a red joker and a black joker, and this one is upside down because it's from the other deck. It has the gold back, so these count as knights. Red, black, black. Okay. Well, the first card was a red one, so I will take it as a yes. And we have a King of Hearts as well. So yeah, these are just for the experience, for the tactile experience alone, and for the fact that you can combine the playing cards into a tarot deck. Obviously, you can do that with any cards you have, right? I wouldn't suggest doing that with, for example, I tried combining like my Dragon packs and my Marquis to that same effect, but that didn't work out because these are new. These are new relatively, and this is an old pack, so they have different, they're bent differently. These are bent more than these, and they have different textures, thickness. The cardstock has different thickness, so that wasn't really working out. So, but obviously, if you have 2 new packs, or if you have 2 plastic packs like Copags or something else, you can combine any 2 packs you like in this way, and you can even make if you have like 78 different packs, you can take a card from each and make a deck with all random backs, right? You can do that if you like. But so this solution, and I included the chems here because they're for me, they're the perfect playing cards. They're the best cards in existence, and I wish there were more designs, more backs available, more, different chords. The chords maybe not per se, because I really like the chords of the chem cards. But maybe some different jokers or stuff like that. But so I'm going to put this on S tier. This is for me, this is the optimal way to at least at this juncture and at this point in time to read poker tarot cards. And with this, I'm going to end this video. I hope this was educational, and I hope you enjoyed the video. And as I said, Please visit my Substack, subscribe, like the video, get my tarot book. Let's see if I can find it. Put it on the screen. Here you go. So like, subscribe, comment, get my book. Get my other book too, with the Arvanite poetry. I will put that in the description. I'm too lazy to grab it right now. And tell me of your experiences. What kind of cards do you prefer? Like, what kind of quality? Do you prefer playing cards or tarot? What's your ideal combination of the two if you're into that sort of thing? And all that jazz. So yeah, I'm going to head out. I wish you all a great weekend, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.